All right, this is the second half of section 2.4 video. So we are going to talk about consecutive integers. As a reminder, when we say the word consecutive integers, what we're talking about is a number and then the next one. So for example, if I have 3, then the next consecutive integer would be 4. 16, the next integer would be 17. Be careful with negative numbers because they are going up by 1. So -2 go up by 1 would be -1. So here is my -2. Here's my -1. So we're always going in that direction for consecutive integers. Now notice I said we're going up by 1. So if my first integer, if I call that x, then my next integer is going to be one more than my first one. So anytime you have consecutive integers, I'm going to clear that, x is going to represent the first integer, and x plus 1 is going to represent the next greater integer. Always, always, always. Now, when we have consecutive even integers, like say, for example, 8 and 10, notice we are going up by 2. So if I have, come on, there we go. And consecutive odd integers like 9 and 11, for example, they also go up by 2. So when we have even integers or odd integers, when we have this problem that says consecutive even or consecutive odd, the first one is always going to be x, and the second one is always going to be x plus 2 because it's going up by 2. Same thing with odd. Doesn't matter whether it's odd or even because we are increasing by 2 each time. So the first one would be x, and the next one would be x plus 2. If we have something that's exactly the same as the last slide, here we go. So we have 2 pages that face each other. You know, pages in a book, they are going to be numbered consecutively. So if my first page is x, my first page is going to be x, then my second page, and I don't mean first page in the book, I mean the first page that I'm looking at. Then my next page is going to be x plus 1 because they're consecutive numbers. It says they have a sum of 569. So I have my first page and my second page. I spelled that wrong. O-N-D. Sum means add is going to be 569. First one, we called it x. And a second one, we called x plus 1. I'm going to refresh your memory on this. Do not skip this step and do not skip this step because every single time when students skip those 2 steps, they give me an equation that looks like this, and you're going to get the wrong answer. Okay, for some reason, students always forget this one. Always. If it's just a plain x, students forget to put it in the equation. So don't do that. Don't be that guy. And we are going to, I just realized I said don't be that guy. There is a teacher at Las Vegas High School. Maybe you had him, Mr. Graham, and he used to say that all the time. I don't think he says it anymore, but he used to say it all the time. So I picked it up from him, I think. All right, so we're going to subtract 1 and divide by 2, and that will give us, I don't know what, 2, 8, 4? Let me double check that. What do we got? 568. 568 divided by 2, 284. Okay, so my first one is 284, and then my next page is going to be 285. All right. let's see, let's get this out of the way. Two consecutive even integers. So I've got my first one is going to be x, and my second one, remember they're even, so they differ by 2, which means my next one, in order to get to my next one, I have to add 2. 6 times the lesser, meaning the smaller, that's my first one, so 6 times x is added to the greater, added to my second one, gives a sum of 86. 6 times the smaller one added to the bigger one. We're going to combine like terms. Subtract our 2 to get the x by itself. And 7 times x, opposite of multiply is divide. And we get 12, and we need both consecutive even integers. So x is the smaller one. So the next even integer would be 14. Supplementary and complementary angles. May have been a while since you've done geometry. This is just kind of a refresher. So if we have two angles and we say that they are complementary, that means we add up the sum, or we sum up the angles and we get 90 degrees, the measures of the angles. If we say it is supplementary, we add up the measures of the angles, we get 180 degrees. Complementary 90, supplementary 180. If we have an angle that is 90 degrees, we call it a right angle. If we have an angle that is 180 degrees, we call it a straight angle. So here are some pictures for your reference if you would like to copy that down in your notes. Okay. Now, this gives students trouble all the time, but let's think about why this works here. All right, so I'm going to have a right angle, and I am going to cut it into two different angles, right here, right here. So here is one of them, and here's the other, okay? Here's one of them, here is the other. It's a different angle. Okay, so if, for example, I knew that this was a 10-degree angle, every student in the world can tell me that this is an 80-degree angle. I have yet to come across a student that gets this incorrect. Here's the problem, okay? Students don't, I don't know, they don't think about how they got the answer. And so if, for example, this is an angle that I don't know, let's go back right here, here, right here. This is an angle I don't know what it is. If I call that x, here's what students do every single time. They tell me that this one is x minus 90, and that's incorrect. And let's look at this first example that we did, okay? Right here's x, so here's my 10, right? If I were to do x minus 90, I would not get 80. 10 minus 90 does not give me 80. You have to go the other way around. Be careful with subtraction. You have to put it in the correct order. We are not taking 10 and subtracting 90 to get this one. We are taking 90 and subtracting 10 to get our 80. So be really, really, really careful to do it this way. You always, 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 if you know one of them and you know the total, then you take the total minus x. One more time. You always take the total minus x. This will come up several times in this class. So please, 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 please make sure that you understand what this means. Total minus x. So if we've got complements, the total is going to be 90. If we have supplements, the total is going to be 180. Measure of an angle. Angle is always going to be x. Complement is 8 times its measure. So we've also got the complement. Complement is 8 times the measure of the angle. Okay? So we know that two angles that are complementary have to add up to 90 degrees. So if I take my angle and I add the complement, I have to add up to 90 degrees. So here's my angle. And it said the complement was 8 times. And I'm going to solve. 9x is equal to 90. It's total coincidence that the angle is 10 degrees. That was not intentional for it to be the same as what I had on the last slide. All right, so the angle is 10 degrees. If I asked for the complement, which I didn't, it would be 80 degrees. Find the measure of an angle. Okay, so the sum of the complement and the supplement. So we're going to be talking about the complement, and we're also going to be talking about the supplement. Now, it did not say anything like the last slide where last slide it said the complement was yada, yada, yada. It didn't say that on this one. So what we have to do is go back to our old standby. If we know the angle is x, then we know the complement has to be 90 minus x, and we know the supplement has to be 180 minus x. Okay, so unless it says the complement is such and such, we're going to use these for complement and supplement. Now it does say the sum. Sum means add. Be careful, because all we're adding is the complement and the supplement. We are not adding the original angle. One more time. We're only adding the complement and the supplement. So the complement and the supplement is 174 degrees. My complement is 90 minus x. And my supplement is 180 minus x. And I know that has to be 174 degrees. I am going to combine like terms. I'm going to combine the x's and I'm going to add the constants. And now I'm going to subtract 270, which is not something I can do in my head. I'm lousy at subtraction. Lousy at subtraction in my head. 174 subtract 270, negative 96. And divide by negative 2. And we get what? 48. Okay, 48 degrees is the original angle. Find the measure of an angle. Didn't ask for the complement, didn't ask for the supplement. We're just looking for the original angle. And that is the end of the section 2.4 part B.